My golden child brother is demanding I give him my dream car, and my parents are on his side. Last week, my parents hosted a family dinner, and in the middle of it, my brother announced that he had just gotten a new job and needed a reliable car to commute. Everyone was happy for him, and during the celebration, he asked me in front of everyone if I would let him borrow my car for a few months as his own was in the shop. This car was one that I had saved up for years to buy and had just gotten it customized to my liking. Everyone expected me to say yes, but I firmly said that as much as I love him, he wasn't getting my car. Well, he started sulking and stormed off as soon as he did. Mom told me that I was being selfish because he needed the car more than I did. I tried to defend myself, and my mother said to me, "You've had your car for years. Wouldn't it have killed you to wait a few more months?" A few comments later, my boyfriend got really mad at everyone, and we left before he absolutely tore them apart. My brother later called me crying and said that it was unfair that I always get what I want, and that I could have done this one thing for him. My sister-in-law then called me and apologized for the inconvenience. She told me she had discussed it with my brother and he had told her she would not ask. She is properly mad at him now and warned me that my brother is blaming me for potentially ruining his new job, when in reality he has done this to himself. My father has sent me about 5 texts along the lines of, "I hope you're happy. Your brother hasn't stopped sulking since yesterday." My boyfriend and I have decided to limit our interactions with my family as a whole. Furthermore, my mom took it upon herself to tell on us. She called my boyfriend's parents and told them that it would be best if they intervened because they were worried about our relationship. My future father-in-law told them off, basically ripped her a new one for expecting something so ridiculous. This is just getting so pathetic, it seems straight out of a bad soap opera. My in-laws are driving over currently with some supper and wine, basically telling me not to worry about anything happening between us. No matter what happens, they will be there for us. Update 1. My brother kept berating me about the car, saying that I was being unfair because we're family. He sent me huge texts about how we should stick together no matter what, but the only text back was, "I'm sorry you perceived it that way." I didn't want to engage in an argument, especially since I knew he was trying to guilt-trip me into giving him my car. The next day, my mom called me again, asking if I had reconsidered lending my brother the car. I told her flat out that my answer was still no, and she started lecturing me about being selfish and not being a good sibling. I listened patiently for a few minutes before politely telling her that I had to go and hung up. My boyfriend and his parents came over for dinner that evening, and we had a lovely time discussing everything except my family drama. It was a much-needed break from all the stress and tension. They reassured us that they were there for us no matter what, and that they wouldn't let my family's antics come between us. Fast forward to today, my brother sent me another text saying that he's found another way to get to work and doesn't need my car anymore. I breathed a sigh of relief, thinking it was finally over. But then he added that he's still hurt by my refusal to help him out and hopes I can understand why he's upset. I'm at a loss for words at this point. Can someone please tell me why it's so hard for them to understand that my car is mine? Update 2. Last night I woke up to the sound of my car alarm blaring outside. I rushed to the window and saw my brother trying to hotwire my car. I couldn't believe my eyes. He was actually trying to steal my car from right under my nose. I immediately called the police and reported the incident. They arrived quickly and caught my brother in the act. They took him away, and I was left shaken and furious. How could he stoop so low? The police took a statement from me and told me that they would be filing a case against my brother for attempted theft. I was still trying to process everything when my parents showed up at my doorstep, looking like they were about to cry. They started lecturing me about how I should drop the case and forgive my brother. "He's your own flesh and blood," they said. "You're being ungrateful for filing a case against your own brother." Ungrateful? Are you kidding me? I lost it at that point. "Ungrateful?" I shouted back at them. "You want to talk about ungrateful? Let me remind you of all the times I've helped him out. When he needed money for college, when he needed a place to stay after his divorce, when he needed someone to bail him out of jail. And this is how he repays me? By trying to steal from me?" My parents looked taken aback by my outburst, but I didn't care. "You've always enabled his bad behavior," I continued. "You've always made excuses for him, always bailed him out. But not this time. This time, He's going to face the consequences of his actions. The look on their faces was priceless. Shock, disappointment, and a hint of guilt. For once, they had nothing to say in response. After a few moments of silence, my parents suddenly changed their approach. "You know, dear, it's not that big of a deal," my mom said with a dismissive wave of her hand. "He was just desperate and made a mistake. Why don't you just drop the case and let's forget about it?" I was taken aback by their nonchalance. "Not that big of a deal?" I repeated, my voice shaking with anger and hurt. "He tried to steal from me. He broke the law. And you're acting like it's no big deal?" My dad chimed in. "We're just saying that family is more important than some material possession. Let's not let this come between us." I looked at them incredulously. "Would you be saying the same thing if I was the one who had committed all these crimes?" I asked, my voice rising. "Would you be so quick to forgive and forget if I was the one who had tried to steal from him?" My parents were speechless again, unable to meet my gaze. "Leave," I said finally, my voice firm but trembling with emotion. "I'm not going to take back the case, and I'm not going to let you guilt-trip me into doing something that goes against my principles." But they didn't leave. Instead, they started arguing with me, trying to wear me down with their words. The argument escalated until they finally dropped the bombshell. Choose between getting disowned or taking back the case. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Tears streamed down my face as I realized that this was what it had come to, being forced to choose between my family and my self-respect. For a long time, I cried and cried, feeling like I was being torn apart by their ultimatum. But as I sat there, something inside me shifted. I realized that if I didn't take a stand for myself now, they would continue to use this trick on me in the future. With newfound determination, I looked up at them and said firmly, "I won't take back the case, and I won't give up on my car either." My parents' faces turned red with anger and shock. "If you want to disown me," I continued, my voice steady now, "then do so. But know that I will not be manipulated or bullied into doing something that goes against what's right." The room fell silent once again, but this time it was different. This time, it was because they knew they had lost control over me. My parents stormed out of my apartment, their faces red with anger and disappointment. As they left, they turned back to me and said, "Don't ever call us again. You're no longer our daughter." I felt a pang of sadness, but I didn't stop them. I didn't beg them to stay or try to reason with them. Instead, I watched them go, feeling a sense of relief wash over me. As soon as they were gone, I blocked their numbers from my phone and social media accounts. I knew it was drastic, but I needed to protect myself from their toxic behavior. The days that followed were tough, but I was determined to move on with my life. I started looking for a new place to live, somewhere far away from my parents' influence. My partner was incredibly supportive of my decision and encouraged me to take this opportunity to start fresh. We found a beautiful apartment in a new city and started the process of moving. It was exhausting, but it felt liberating to be taking control of my life. As we settled into our new home, I started looking for a new job. It wasn't easy, but eventually, I landed a great opportunity that made me feel fulfilled and happy. But even as I was building my new life, I couldn't help but wonder what was happening back home. It wasn't until months later that I found out through mutual friends that my parents had used their connections to get my brother out of jail. Apparently, he didn't learn his lesson and continued to act like a baby, expecting everyone else to take care of him. My parents were now trying to get him to leave their house and start living on his own, but he refused. I couldn't help but feel vindicated in my decision to stand up for myself against them. If I had given in and taken back the case or given up on my car, who knows how much more they would have taken advantage of me. But even as I felt proud of myself for taking control of my life, a part of me still hurt from the loss of family relationships. It was hard to accept that the people who were supposed to love and support me unconditionally could be so toxic and manipulative. Still, I knew that I had made the right decision for myself. And as I looked around at my new home and thought about all the good things in my life now, including an amazing partner who loved and supported me, I knew that it was all worth it.